All right, good morning, Sheriff. My name is Randolph Macias with the Uncensored Voice. I thank you for seeing me here in Falfurrias. It's a beautiful little town and no traffic jams.
No, definitely not. It's a great little town, absolutely.
I had a few questions for you, sir.
Sure.
When did you start your tenure Sheriff of Brooks County?
2017.
2017. Was there a lot to fix when you came into office at that time?
Well, everything has kind of been fixed as I started as a chief deputy in 2009, and we started working on just kind of streamlining a lot more issues that we were having.
Okay, so you worked previously also at the Sheriff's Department, and then you were elected?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I was the second in command for the Sheriff's Office.
Okay.
And then I got elected, yes, sir.
Now, as the vast open ranch lands, the reason why the illegals feel that they have the best chance of escaping detection from the federal, state, and county law enforcement agencies more than any other area of Texas, just in Brooks County, is this a hot spot?
Well, it is. It's simply because of the corridor. They have to traverse through here. We have one of the busiest checkpoints in the Southwest corridor.
I saw that, yeah.
And that also puts another barrier on them. So what they do, they'll get dropped off, which our drop-offs are extremely busy right now. They're high in volume, so they walk through the ranch lands, and of course, end result on some of those people is the fact that they die as they're making their way through the brushland.
Dehydration is a very serious thing. It can happen very quickly, and I've been down all the way to Brownsville and Cameron County and all that. It's hot down there, and it sure as heck gets hot over here in these ranch lands, no doubt in my mind. So some of these people, they just pass through, but sadly they do decease because they just run out of water, or maybe their body can't handle it, and they have trouble identifying them because from what I've heard, maybe through time, animals scatter their remains and they're difficult to identify. So unfortunately, they're victims of the coyotes that bring them up here, but they do get thousands of dollars per head to bring them through to our country. And so unfortunately, they're making a lot more money now under the current administration than they did on the previous. Does the state of Texas have the ability to help you financially in any way? I've heard about body recovery efforts. Have there been grants given to your county?
Yes, sir. Actually, that started back in 2012.
Oh, it did?
The funding provided by the state. So we've been very fortunate for that to happen, and it's really helped us a lot, because prior to that, from 2009 to 2012, I think the county actually was taking the blunt of the cost, and we I think it reached about $680,000, except and change that we're trying to get ourselves back on and get that reimbursed some way somehow.
What is the main source of revenue for Brooks County?
Well, I guess you can say it's oil and gas, but it's not at the level it was back when. So that's one of our tax base. It's not as high as it should be because of that. It's there, but it's not like it used to be.
Okay, I was kind of concerned. Do you have a sufficient amount of equipment and personnel to carry out protecting the citizens of your county as a result of this border crisis?
Well, you're never going to have enough officers, I should say, especially us in this corridor, because we don't. We usually run one officer at night, and they go about 12 hours shifts.
12 hours?
Yes. So that really is one of those things that I'm not real in favor of, but that's all we can handle right now because of the fact that we don't have enough staff to kind of ease up on the scheduling. So it's difficult for them because sometimes, as you mentioned earlier, there's bailouts or there's something happening and it extends their 12-hour shifts, and pretty soon you're looking at 16-hour shifts, without even really thinking about it.
And so time just kind of passes by longer than they anticipated, and ends up being an almost 24-hour day for them.
Well, absolutely. Even when you go and pick up bodies, just to recover a dead body will take you at least 3 to 4 hours to do that.
One body?
One body, simply because the time the call comes in, gathering the equipment, of course you have to, we rely a lot on the JPs to go with us out there. They're very, very grateful that they jump on the truck with us. And this is all sorts of the hour.
It's a 24/7, 365.
It depends on what time they call in. and how quick we can get out there and then be out there. And if it's nighttime, you got to do some searching, a little bit more searching if the body's not intact, to make sure you recover everything and not go back the next morning and redo it again. So little issues like that plays an important role to what we want to make sure we collect as much as we can. So it varies.
I've seen a report on the internet about mass graves of illegals being found, or I mean, how do they? What's their disposition once you recover the body? I mean, are they buried or cremated at some point? They cost you money for autopsies and stuff.
Actually, the autopsies are being covered now through grant monies, which is a very good thing. But we're now helping the MMP that was initiated by Border Patrol. They've helped us tremendously. So, they're always there on the right side. The fact is that if for some reason they have some type of fingerprint left on them, when we recover them, they get identified pretty quick. And the turnaround is within 2 to 3 days on that. Depends on the working relationship that Border Patrol has with respective consulates also helps. The streamlining that the JPs do for us also helps. So we're kind of releasing bodies within 3 to 4 days after the recovery.
Do they get repatriated, or do they just?
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yes, through the consulate. Getting the approval from the consulate, they'll tell us who we're going to release it to, and it's usually a family member that's already in the States.
Oh, okay.
And a funeral home, they'll do everything. All we got to do is they'll sign a release form that we're releasing the body to a respective funeral home, and away it goes.
One of the big questions I wanted to ask you, because you had mentioned it previously in another interview, I just want to get the truth out there. Has the incoming administration acknowledged an increase of up to 50% more illegal trafficking than this time last year, which could result in even more deaths, putting a further strain on your resources? I heard 50%, I've heard 20% increase from last year.
Well, right now on deaths alone, we're over a 300% increase. Everything is
300.
Yes, everything is over 100% increase. Everything that we talked about. I don't think the administration really understands the challenges that are occurring here. They're not being met because all the resources are not there. It just can't be met, period. Not even the federal government themselves can meet the challenge, and I'm referring to Border Patrol.
Right.
Our station here probably lost about 65 to 70% of them for transportation and processing down south. Okay, so in an option, they're talking about maybe minimizing the checkpoint, and I'm really and hoping that they don't shut the checkpoint down as they have others, simply because understand the corridor here. We're so close to Mexico, and we're always talking about all these narcotics going through.
There's a lot of narcotics. Fentanyl is
one of them.
Huge. It was almost nothing before, during the Trump administration, and now during the Biden administration, you see exponential increases of seizures of fentanyl, in addition to human trafficking.
Just give some thought into that. What's going to happen if they shut our checkpoint down? Okay, so we're not going to get trunk loads. We're going to get tractor loads, because that's what's going to happen. And it used to be like that, and various years until this checkpoint got rebuilt and restructured. So now they do have a lot of that interdiction. But if they shut this thing down, America will be in big trouble.
Yes, sir.
Even more so now than they were.
I've heard it's beyond crisis. I mean, it's some people say it's an invasion.
Well, pretty much the Band-Aid is off.
Yes, sir.
It's over. It's open. There's nothing to fix anymore. It's hard to, if you can get a concept of that.
President Trump had mentioned when Biden signed the executive order halting or revoking the presidential permit or whatever it is that allowed them to do that. He said they wouldn't even let them paint the fence because they paint the wall because it's going to rust. They stopped everything, every nook and cranny, not just putting up the wall, but they can't even paint it to complete it. He just immediately stopped, and so that was a big thing with President Trump mentioning that part of the wall. They just don't like him so much that they just stopped everything he did. As a result, the citizens of your county, the citizens of the great state of Texas, and ultimately us as Americans are being opened up to crimes and COVID-19. I mean, they're letting them in. They're being hard on us as Americans, but they're letting them in from all over the world. 67 plus different nationalities. I've known, I can't identify all of them, but it's like the whole world is coming through this corridor right here through Texas.
Absolutely, and it's right through this county too. So
Yep.
that's one of the main issues. You talked about the COVID issue. I think we're at 20% because we're testing these bodies we're recovering.
Yeah.
So about 20% of them are testing positive. So you have to take that in consideration also when these bodies actually get through, or if they're not being really tested. All we're doing is busting them into respective states. I mean, you got a major problem that's going to be created here within months, and as you all know, it's already going up. This little COVID issue.
Delta variant is what I heard now
Exactly.
is
So
rising.
all that is going to be compounded with everything that's coming in.
I had about 3 months ago, I was in Midland County. I talked to County Judge Terry Johnson. There was what I call a Biden camp, or Biden detention camp, as I call it, over there. And he said, you're welcome to go over there. He was very, very angry as to why the Biden administration would put that camp in his county. He said it was like a backstab, knowing that they were very highly conservative, and they just put it right there, right directly in this county, in the middle of everything. It gets loud at night. The neighbors get upset. There's houses right across from the fence. And he said that if the fence post was even 1 inch onto county property, he would have the whole thing ordered torn down. That little fence wall that they put around the feds, what they did, and then they put double black covers on so you can't see through anymore. And there's reports of sexual assaults not only there in Midland County and also in the Rio Grande Valley, but also in San Antonio in the Freeman Coliseum. It's a travesty, and the state officials cannot investigate this stuff because the federal agencies play the card of, we're the feds, you can't come in, this is federal property. But we know there's crimes being committed in these camps. I don't know if there's any close to you in your county, sir.
Well, no, but I could comment on the fact that you have to understand that some of these youngins that are coming up that are 10, 12, 11, come from this particular countries where that's all they know, right? They kind of learn this at an early age. So you really cannot compare a 10-year-old that was raised up in the United States to a 10-year-old that's raised up in some of these countries.
Yes.
That they have to do that in order for them to survive. So you can get a 10-year-old and put him in a group of 50 kids, and that 10-year-old will control the whole kids because that's what he known to do.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So you have to understand that
it's
concept.
a whole different state of mind.
Absolutely.
From birth.
And no one seems to understand that. No one wants to say, well, no, he's only 10. No, but his
Some
level
of them are
thinking,
like adult level thinking.
Yes, his level of thinking, it's a lot more higher than a normal 10-year-old would be in terms of being defiant, in terms of controlling everyone, manipulative, etc. So unless you understand that part, they're just going to ignore it. The administration will ignore it now. Well, he's only 10. Well, no, but his level of thinking is totally different.
They ignore the things that they don't want to talk about because they have the highest platform in the land now. And what they say or don't say, the mainstream media will go with, which is why I wanted to interview you and get the truth that they don't talk about, because unfortunately, Sheriff, the truth is very unpopular these days. Nobody wants to talk about the truth, about what's really going on in this area down to Cameron County and all the surrounding counties, I'm sure. Have there been cases of successful rescues?
Oh, absolutely. Just about every day there's cases where we actually rescue the persons. 2 days ago they rescued 2, but one of them died on the way to the hospital. But the other one survived. And that happens often because they just get lost. I mean, the thing about our area here is once you get into the thicket, into the brush, real heavy brush, there's no wind, there's no air.
Right.
So it's just like being in an oven. There's no air, there's nothing, it's just heat.
I've had a heat stroke myself, and it's a very dangerous situation.
So you have to understand that. And a lot of people don't quite get it as to what they're walking through. It's just not like if you're walking in a park where it's wide open and you have a breeze. These areas are just so intense with the vegetation that there's no breeze. And it doesn't help them any. And that's after they're sitting in the stash house for 1, 2, 3, or 4 days. and not getting enough elements into the system, the water they need, right, the food they need, etc. All right. So if you open everything up, let's just say you do this checkpoint. Guess what? There'll be no more stash houses because they're just going to load them up and drive them through.
Have you identified all the stash houses in your county, sir?
Yes, we have about. I think we're currently picked up another 3, but we've had at least up to 12 or 15.
Do they move in, move out real fast once you identify?
Real quick. I mean, before we get the call and get there, they're gone, and it's just a small town, so they know when we move, etc. And I'm talking about law enforcement.
Yes, sir.
So knowing that, once they know that, they push them out. We get there, there's evidence, but that's all we have.
So what's the level of cooperation with DHS? Because certainly Terry Johnson, County Judge of Midland County, does not have a good relationship with DHS. He had told me during a previous interview that he had heard, he heard it on the news about that they were coming to his county. They didn't tell him directly. He just happened to see, watching, I think it was Fox News he was watching. He's like, what the hell's going on here? Let me make a phone call real quick. And so he contacted the feds. The feds says, oh yeah, they'll be here in a few weeks. So he said, okay, well, I guess we have to prepare. And so what happened is they arrived in a few hours from that point. So the feds lied to him directly about when these kids or people were coming in to his county. He barely found out on the news and barely was able to make a phone call. And they actually lied to him. They said, oh, well, a couple of weeks they'll be here. Yeah, they're on their way. And they actually got there that same day. So I was wondering, how is your level of cooperation with DHS? Can you rely on them to be truthful with you?
Actually, I work real closely with Border Patrol, and they really filter a lot of information to me, and probably a lot more than others get. And it's just because of our situation, and they know it very well. Okay, so I really don't have any issues with DHS or DOJ or anyone like that. They've been pretty upfront, you know.
When I was up there, they ID'd my car, and they were running my license or something because I'm an American and I want to see what's going on inside that fence. Mm-hmm. That's my taxpayer money. That's millions of dollars spent every day. And so I kind of ruffled the feathers with them a little bit. They never talked to me, but they drove up to my car and they're like taking pictures. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Hi. But and I know they're just doing their job. But as an American, when you're spending my money on stuff like this, that I think is a waste. And some of these illegals get treated better than the American veteran, say, for example. Some of the money that's been spent has gone now beyond the budget of the entire VA for one fiscal year already. Over $500 billion has been spent on accommodating illegals. They bust in dryers, they get water trucks, they get everything they need, pizza, whatever. So I see them being treated a lot better than the average American. Just today, when I was coming into your county, I saw 9 buses heading into George West, Texas. 9 full buses. That's probably about 300 or 400 people. And I don't know what's going on. The feds seem to be secretive on a lot of things that they do. But when we see the buses, we know exactly what's going on. And so I saw that on my way over here. Just happened to mention that to you, sir. Do the cartels, do you think they have better logistical intelligence to traffic illegals to exactly where they want them, considering it's like $10,000 to $20,000 per head coming in to your county? I mean, are they highly organized?
Absolutely, they are, because they're almost on point all the time on terms of picking up, dropping off, etc. So what they're doing now, for instance, let's just say they get a truckload down south, and they'll get an undocumented person to actually drive that truck. Okay, and they tell them what to do and tell them where to go stop it, because they have escorts, so to speak. They have one ahead, one behind them. They have handheld little radios that they talk about.
Convoys?
Yes, sir. Yes. So what they'll do, they'll tell them just kind of like sneak up against the fence line and just leave the truck there. So we'll secure the truck, and then days later, the registered owner will show, hey, well, someone took my truck, and really nothing to prove, nothing
right.
to have any nexus to the driver and the truck. Well, the truck has to be released. Mm-hmm. But that's what's occurring. And we've had a couple of incidents like that. And actually, we caught those drivers. You did? Yeah, and we locked them up for smuggling. So they spent some time in jail. So
were these federal charges, then, sir, or was it state charges?
These are state charges.
Because you're just Berks County, okay.
Yes. So we do what we got to do at this point. And then once they're released, of course, the way the administration, you have to understand that everything that's being done by other Border Patrol or anyone else, it comes down from the administration. They don't create their own policy, okay? The administration is creating their policy and the way they work. So that makes it difficult for them. And it makes it difficult for everyone else. So, I mean, there's a lot of underlying issues here that no one really talks about or understands it.
Right.
And they have to understand it, that everything comes from the top. It doesn't come from the bottom up. It goes the other way around.
It's like when the new administration took office, everything just flipped like a light switch in the opposite direction. It was horrible to see. It's really depressing for most Americans, to be honest with you.
It's to a point where it's a point of no return anymore, because it's real difficult not to stop it. You have to get Mexico to stop it. You have to get the country south of Mexico to stop it, and so on and so forth. So that you're going to have to get everyone else involved.
Oh, you're going to have to, definitely. I saw a video clip of, a Dr. Mike Vickers,
Yes.
rancher. She's reported that children are wandering around on his property. And my question is the family unit card being played to get across to a certain point resulting in child abandonments? Because he certainly talked about them on his property.
We've had some young, I call them young 10, 11-year-olds that we've come across. It is very difficult because what's happening is that in the respective countries, they'll release this child to someone else that they know or don't know, okay?
Right.
So that's very difficult, because usually the parents are in their respective countries. They're coming with someone else. They're being escorted by someone else. So it's very difficult to really pinpoint that particular, I guess, nexus to the parent and doing that. But are they doing it? Absolutely, because they're coming in with someone else. And we know that because it's happened at the checkpoint, where actually the child don't even belong to the couple.
Yeah, it's fake family units. Just, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like they borrow the child or pay for the child to utilize to come over, if that makes any sense. Okay, so you have to understand that. They'll do whatever they can, but at this point, why even do that if it's open? Why even take that risk?
These people are coming all the way from the most southern parts of South America, is what I was told. And I'm sure there's been reports out there that these children who come up, who make that long journey from whatever country, usually it's Honduras or Venezuela or in that area, El Salvador, they're also being sexually assaulted on their way up here, as well as a result of President Biden saying, "Come on up if you need if you're being oppressed, you come." He actually said he opened the floodgates verbally to them, so therefore they came by the thousands. And these children are being assaulted all the way up to the border, and then right here in our own country through their stash houses or wherever the government decides to put them. I've seen them at Lackland Air Force Base. They have a highly fenced razor barbed wire area in Lackland Air Force Base so there's a camp there. I've seen one in Midland. I know there's one, like maybe two in the valley that I know of, but scattered all through Texas pretty much. And it's really sad to see. I'm very concerned because I think that the Biden administration is being mute on this issue. They're not talking about it, but children are being sexually assaulted and they need to have some attention. They need to be taken care of. Once they're here, they're here. And we need to take care of them at that point, or repatriate them to their family, but probably their family sent them over here, so maybe they have family here in the United States. Under the Trump administration, did your county have any type of relief from the flow of illegal immigration? Were things easier during his administration, much more than they are now?
I would have to say they were more workable, just simply because we had a lot of resources along the border, right? So that kind of minimized those coming through. In comparison, like last year, for instance, we had 34 deaths the whole year. We have 61 already.
Presently, from January 1 to
now, we have 61.
61.
Last 12 months, we only had 34. And then when we saw the upkeep, the presence of more drop-offs, the presence of more pickups, the presence of more pursuits, fence damage, property damage, etc., etc. When January 1st came in, where they just pretty much, like you said, they flipped the light switch and it was open. Okay, they removed all the guardrails over there.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, this new administration did. So there's no more guardrails. It's empty. It's gone. So they're kind of like free. It's just a matter. So I'm thinking to myself, if everything is open, why do we have all these people walking to the brush if it's open?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, the border, they say the border is closed, but we all know it's not closed because we can see with our own eyes. You know, that they just come across and they just sit under a tree. Most recently in La Jolla, Texas, they sit under a tree, just wait to be processed. I mean, that's how the process is. It's like the DHS is now a welcoming committee for them, as opposed to being taken into custody and being, President Trump's stay in Mexico policy worked. All that has been reversed now, and now they're being scattered all around our country, and they say every state now is a border state in this country. It's really sad to see. So knowing that there will likely be a never-ending challenge, what would you think would be the most single effective deterrent to prevent these people risking nearly certain death in the dangerous heat and Texas terrain with coming in across our international border?
I think this administration needs to reach out to each respective country, because I know that we are already supplying plenty of funds for them.
Oh, yes.
And then hold them accountable on those funds, and then get them to do what they're supposed to, and take care of them in the respective country. Okay, make sure those monies go to where they're supposed to go. Everyone is accountable for any type of federal funding, and you know that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so they need to be accountable too. That's what the administration needs to do. Again, it needs to go back to these countries of all these people that are coming through in the system, and hold them accountable for what they're supposed to do, and that is to take care of their own.
And that's very important. Was there anything that you wanted that I didn't ask you that you wanted to make known to my listeners?
I think that the biggest issue here is just the fact that pretty much all the policies that were in place from the previous administration are gone. And I think that they would have just given some thought and left something in place. And if they were going to do that and do it in phases, I mean, they just didn't do anything. They just like 180, so to speak. And everything just started coming across.
Well, in all truthfulness, President Biden did tell them to come to America from wherever they were, from around the world. And they answered the call. They certainly came, and it's putting a strain on our financial resources to the average American.
Well, you also have to understand that the criminal element is always there for them. The criminal element, and I'm talking about the cartels and everyone, because understand one thing, everything is a profit.
Yes.
It's all about profit, right?
It's all about money, sir.
And the way to divide things is through fear, right?
Yes.
Fear divides people.
Yes, sir.
So, and that's exactly what's happening here. They're dividing people, which it has been, and then the fact that these cartel people know, and it's all about profit. Everything is a profit.
The cartels are making millions of dollars every day, sir.
It's a profit.
Every day. And we're losing the money. They're making the money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And once the people get over here, then I guess maybe they put them where they were contracted to go, or what state, what city, or. But the Biden administration has been all about reuniting the families. So once they're here, they come by and they pick them up and they take them away. I've seen it. I've taken video of that in Midland County as well. One of them cursed me out pretty badly. But I have a right to be there. And the county judge said, you can walk right up to the fence post if you want to. They can't touch you. Because they would be standing right here, and the fence post could be right here, and I could stand right here. I didn't want to take that risk because I didn't want to be taken into custody. But the county judge said, I'm authorized to do that, as long as, of course, I would have to document it to make sure I didn't trespass. But I almost did it, but I decided not to. But what I did do is I documented every single bus going in and every single car going out, and I was able to see these little children being escorted back and forth to these little buildings, and I don't know what's in there. I don't know what amenities they have. They might be horrible conditions, but I was primarily concerned at that point with the sexual assaults of the kids. These young kids are coming in with COVID-19, and the county judge there said, what about the COVID-19 issue? They said, don't worry, we'll put them in separate buses. Like, that helps.
It doesn't help.
It doesn't help at all.
We all know it doesn't help. We also have sexual assault cases that happens here also in the county, and we deal with those. We always constantly have missing persons reports that we deal with, and we collaborate well with NAMAs. So we're doing everything we can, but lack of resources. That's for everyone.
Yes,
Either border patrol, anyone that's on the front line sticking, they see it, they feel it, and they smell it because it's all there.
it's a golden opportunity right now for them to make money, for our resources to be strained to the point of what wealth we did have is now dwindling away, and we have to work. It's amazing because everybody that I've seen in every county I went through, they're all hiring for all positions. Nobody wants to work because they're wanting the stimulus checks. And so they're waiting and hoping. And as a result, restaurants can't even open their dining rooms because they directly said, we don't have enough employees. Is there issues like that here? Or are they hiring here at places for all positions?
We've been good here, but you're right, though. You can see that everywhere, though, as far as finding people to work, because they don't have to work at this point. And I think that's sad. I think we need to get everyone back to work and be as much norm as we can. Because it's difficult for everyone. Everyone, even in law enforcement, you're seeing it. It's very hard to keep people in detention centers and in any field for that matter. It's just because of what's occurring. They're getting pretty good checks, so why worry about it?
Yes, and America needs to get back to work, in my opinion, because that's the American dream. You work, you earn money, and you become successful. We have the right to our life, our liberty, and we have the right to pursue happiness as Americans. And I don't like what the current administration is doing. This is my personal opinion, by the way, sir, about them just coming in and straining our resources. And when the average American maybe can't get food stamps, but when the illegals come in, they immediately get signed up and they get it. So it's also, and the American veteran is another issue. I'm a veteran of the United States Army, for 68th Armor Regiment. I drove tanks and stuff like that, and I had some really difficult times myself. But when I reached out to the resources I thought would be able to help me, they didn't, because there's like a stigma.
Yeah, that's really the Veterans Office or whoever's in charge of that really needs to be revamped and looked at and actually take care of those folks. Because my dad was a veteran, my brother was a veteran, my son. So I understand that phase of it. I see it. We actually have a van that actually takes our local veterans to medical doctors, etc. that we provide.
Is there where is the closest VA clinic then, sir?
It's either going to be in Harlingen, San Antonio, or
okay,
maybe Corpus. I'm not sure, but I know Harlingen, San Antonio,
okay,
and Corpus, I believe. So we take them to the doctors. We provide that service.
That's very, very admirable that you would do that for the American veteran. They deserve all that and more, sir. Honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
They fought for their country.
Here on that.
And then I'm glad to hear that you do support veterans of all our branches. I saw some flags gathered in a certain area of your town. Before I leave, I'm gonna take a picture of it because when I see a monument or a memorial of some sort, I always take time to stop, read everything, take a picture of it. So being a veteran, I want to make sure that the American veteran is taken care of primarily. All Americans, but I mean, but homeless veterans need a lot of attention, and I'm glad that you support them, sir. I really appreciate that. I guess that's it for our interview. I really appreciate your time, and I just want to say you are doing an awesome job as sheriff, sir. I've seen you on multiple interviews. I saw you spend some time with Lara Logan. That's how I found out who you were because I had the Fox Nation channel, and I said, oh wow, let's see what's going on the border. And
we're not even a border county. We're 70 miles north of the border.
70 miles, I'm sorry, yes.
Right.
But the focus, I'm sorry, was on the illegals transiting through your county. But
no, it's here we are 70 miles north of the actual river itself, and we still feel the impact that
almost the same as right there next to Mexico.
It's been along the border, yeah. So it's difficult. I think all of us together, we can get this thing maybe corrected some.
Yes.
Because it needs to be corrected.
Yes, sir.
But it's going to take a lot of work now. You can only think this administration did everything possible to get themselves elected, and they did. Good for them. But just to turn this whole thing upside down, that's not good for the country.
I had one final question. It surfaced while you were talking. I apologize. You were at some type of media event with President Trump and the governor.
Yes.
I heard you speak on that one. I watched the whole thing. Were you able to talk to the president personally about anything, or?
No, on one basis, no, sir. It was one of those roundtable things.
Okay.
He came in quickly, left quickly, and
Yeah, he does that.
yes,
He always comes late though, but that's okay. I'll wait for him.
but it was eventful. You know, I mean, you know, the thing about it is that, you know, as a law enforcement officer, we take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States.
Yes, sir.
And of this state, and that's basically what we're doing as a whole, right?
Yes.
And it's politics is not ours. Ours is to defend what's written.
Yes, sir.
So this is why we really have to be careful who we elect and who we support. You know, I've always been you know, I worked for the state police for 29 years, and our way of thinking is, you know, just vote your conviction, and that's what we do. We vote our conviction.
Yes.
And you always want to kind of make sure you know what you're voting for and who you're voting for.
We're working on that in Bexar County as far as election integrity goes, but it's a work in progress. I'm a precinct chairman there, and so I have my work cut out for me as well, and I'm very grateful to be in that position to make a difference.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time, Sheriff.
No worries.
And
Thank you.
God bless you. God bless the county and the great state of Texas, sir.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.